Welcome to our deep dive into the source material for today. We're looking at a modern classic that has probably been on your bookshelf, or at least your friends' bookshelves, for the last couple of decades.
Yeah, we are talking about The Book Thief, the historical fiction bestseller by Australian author Markus Zusak. It came out in 2005.
Right. And before we get into the heavy stuff, we have to acknowledge the sheer footprint of this novel. Our sources today, which are drawn from the book's Wikipedia entry, note that it had sold 17 million copies.
Translated into 63 languages, too.
I mean, that is huge. There's a film adaptation, a 2022 musical. It's a massive cultural touchstone.
It really is. And our mission today is to figure out why. We want to understand how a story set in Nazi Germany uses the most unlikely narrator imaginable to explore the power of language and the resilience of the human spirit.
I think the hook that gets most people is that narrator.
Yeah.
Because it is death.
Which sounds so grim at first.
Right, you expect a typical Grim Reaper.
Exactly. But unlike the typical Grim Reaper, this death is compassionate. He actually claims to have a heart. He admits he is haunted by humans. He offers this sympathetic, albeit inevitable, perspective on the devastation of World War II.
And he focuses his attention on a young girl to make sense of it all, Liesel Meminger. She is sent to foster care in the town of Mulching because her father, who was a communist, was taken away.
And tragedy strikes immediately. Her little brother dies on the train ride there.
Which leads to the crime that gives the book its title. Liesel steals her very first book at her brother's burial.
The Gravedigger's Handbook.
Yeah, and she doesn't even know how to read yet.
She just desperately wants that physical connection to her brother. But that theft introduces the big theme here, literacy as a tool for freedom and identity.
Which brings in Hans Huberman, her foster father.
The accordion player and painter.
He is so incredibly gentle. When Liesel has these terrible nightmares, he sits up with her and uses that time to teach her how to read.
And that sparks this intense hunger for words in Liesel. She escalates from that first stolen book to literally stealing books from Nazi bonfires.
And from the mayor's wife, Ilse Hermann, who eventually just grants Liesel access to her private library.
But the real secret of the story, the most dangerous one, is in their basement. The Hubermans hide a Jewish fistfighter named Max Vandenburg.
To repay a World War I debt to Max's father.
Right. Max and Liesel bond over their shared trauma and their love of storytelling. Max actually writes 2 books for her and a sketchbook about his life.
It perfectly illustrates how words can save lives. Speaking of humanity amidst horror, the contrast between the brutal regime and small acts of kindness is just everywhere in the story.
Oh, absolutely. Like with her best friend Rudy Steiner. He represents pure innocence and loyalty. He is known for the Jesse Owens incident.
Where he painted himself black with charcoal to emulate his hero and ran track.
Yes. And then you have Rosa Huberman, the foster mother. She is described as wardrobe-shaped, and she's very strict.
She yells constantly.
She does. But she reveals a deep, deep capacity for love beneath that harsh exterior.
But because our narrator is death, the climax is inevitable. War comes to Mulching. The bombing is absolutely tragic.
Hans, Rosa, and Rudy do not survive.
But Liesel does, because she was in the basement writing her own story. The physical act of writing saves her life from the bombs.
The narrative emphasizes mortality so heavily, but it suggests that human connection persists beyond death. The story frames literacy not just as a skill, but as a literal form of resistance against a regime that burns books.
And death ends the book with a confession. He says he is haunted by humans.
Which is complete inversion of how things normally work.
We are usually the ones haunted by death. So here's a final thought for you to explore on your own today. If the Collector of Souls looks at our capacity for both profound cruelty and beautiful creation and finds us to be the true mystery, what does that mean for the legacy you are building? What kind of story are you choosing to write before your own book is closed? Thanks for joining our deep dive into the source material. We'll catch you next time.